So much of this is about our mindset and our preparation before the event even happens. Am I ready? And what is it that's holding me back if an opportunity comes? One of the saddest commentaries is when we are so stuck that we don't feel like we can look at any other option. What is it that you want to do? And what is it that serves you? So we have to rethink the beliefs that have been poured onto us. And if they don't work, don't do it.
You know, Brett, I probably speak for a lot of people like us, like people we have the fortune to work with, in that I was brought up in a world where responsibility, self-responsibility, that rugged individualist, if you don't do it, no one's going to do it for you, which is, I'm not saying that's a bad ethic, not a bad character at all. I mean, responsibility is very important in our lives, but I was brought up to the point where I believe that, everything was on me. And just to be very open and vulnerable here, along the lines you were just talking about, one of a number of setbacks or failures that I had in my life was when I went to sell my dental practice the first time, when I made that decision when my daughter was so sick, and I decided, okay, I got to change. So I was motivated to sell. And I won't go through the whole story, but let's just say this: my first sale, which I carried back financing and paper, it failed pretty badly, and I was in a dark place, and I was, went through all the emotions, as you know. First I was angry, upset, I'm a victim, somebody did me wrong, and then of course then you have to come back around and go, well, what did I do wrong here? Long story short, deep dive, but to your point, I rather than just right the ship, meaning would have been easy. Well, not easy, but nothing's easy. My first inclination would be, okay, I have to take this practice back. I thought I was out. Now David Phelps, has to go back in and do what I used to do, be the dentist, put on the scrubs, go do the work. I could have made that decision, and that would be like riding the ship. Now I'm right back where I was.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The opportunity of going through this was to, I'm already in a kind of like a not great place. Why don't I take a different path here? Maybe I try something different. So now I will also say this: I didn't do it by myself. Good clue, David Phelps, because I was always the one, I'll do this by myself. No, I brought in some other people that were really good with young doctors. My point is, rather than going back and suiting up and doing the work myself, I brought in 1, 2, 3 different associates, but I also got help in guiding those young doctors, because I didn't have the time, didn't really have the wherewithal where I wanted to put it in there. So I got extra help and changed the model so that I wasn't doing the work. And then it took another 2 years to sell it a second time, but now it's sold a second time for cash, and now I'm done. And the lessons I learned there were immense.
Absolutely.
Immense lessons. And bottom line is, today, I am not afraid of disruption or turbulence. It's not fun. I don't seek it, but I'm not afraid of it, because I know the opportunity there with the turbulence, the opportunity for change. And that's what we're talking about here, the apex effect, the change opportunity that's right in front of us, if we'll go through it with a different perspective.
Yeah. And, I think one of the biggest things that throws us off is our mindset going into those opportunities. And I do think change moments are opportunities if we take them as such. But we have to have had the mental mindset before we get into it of what I plan to do. There's a corner that I love to take on my drive home every night. It's a hard left-hand 90-degree sweeping corner. I love it. The sign says 25 miles an hour. I may or may not have gone faster than that a few times. And my goal is to see, how can I prep myself? How can I prepare myself going into that corner to stay inside my lane? I never cross the double yellow. That's my whole objective. But I want to do it as fast and as perfect as possible so that I come out on the other end and it's this thrill. But it all comes down to the setup. If I'm worried about the gravel on the side and I'm staring at it, then I miss it. If I'm not looking through the corner, I mean, so many little things. And so much of this is about our mindset and our preparation before the event even happens. Am I ready? And what is it that's holding me back if an opportunity comes? And I've thought many times about one of the first times that I was with you at Freedom Founders, and he was a great guy. And I remember talking to him off the side after you had him up in a hot seat, and he was so stuck. In my head, I call him Steve. I don't remember what his name was, but he was in a practice that he desperately needed to get out of, but he didn't see a way to get out. And he couldn't wrap his head around the fact that he would be better off getting out of this practice and moving forward into something free of that albatross that was holding him down. And he was so fixated on, this is what I do, and this is the safety, and this is what I have to do, that it was killing him.
Yeah.
And I remember, you were talking with him, you looked at me and said, Brett, can you offer anything? And my heart was just aching for this guy, because you could see him on that stool just dying as he's talking about, I'm trapped. But the worst thing was he wasn't willing to look at any other option. And that is one of the saddest commentaries, I think, on anybody's life, is that when we are so stuck that we don't feel like we can look at any other option. And that's, if we can get there, that's part of that pre-planning. That's before that opportunity even comes to where now I'm trapped and I'm scared and I'm in the turmoil. You got to be thinking about this, early on, and ready for that opportunity. And that's just a matter of mindset shift, and opening up that perspective so that we're ready for the change moment. So that when you come along and you offer them this incredible opportunity to find freedom, they're like, yeah, this is great, sign me up, because they had prepared themselves prior to being presented with the change moment. And there's a lot of work that has to happen in the background for that to happen, so that we're free to do that.
So the problem I see and know from experience is, for people that are highly educated, this is not training that we receive. The training we receive, Brett, as you well know, is you go through training to develop expertise, in this case, clinical expertise, to treat other people, their body, their mouth, their mind. You have license, you have credentials, and you're trained to do that well. And the whole focus is on one's technical capabilities in the field. Now, those are important, absolutely. If you're going to help people, you've got to have those capabilities. But you're talking about a different type of mindset. You're talking about a mindset that is looking at a much bigger picture horizon. Let's take the technical stuff that we're talking about right here. I'll just put it in my hands here, and we're just going to put it off to the side and say it's not unimportant. But let's just say it's there. Now we're talking about what you're talking about, the mindset. Where do we get that? I mean, I know you know the answer, I know the answer, but we're talking to an audience here, and I've got a lot of young people that are very driven, hardworking. They've got the capabilities, they've got these clinical skills, but I think their focus is still on this little box over here. How can we speak to them and say, hey, great job, that's awesome, but what else should they be doing to develop the mindset we're talking about?
I think a lot of it has to do with, the title of your book, What's Next? I love what if. Learn your technical skill, be brilliant at your technical skill, and master it so that you can get established in every way you can. But you have to always be looking at what's coming next and what is the next opportunity, so that I'm ready when that comes. If I'm so stuck, let me go back. One of the very first times you and I met, I was in my very first practice. It wasn't going well. We had made an investment in a product that was just drowning us. You and Dr. Chandler George both looked at me and Gina and said, you got to shut your practice down. And I was like the guy sitting on the stool in the hot seat. I couldn't see it. I couldn't do it. I held on to it for another year, and it killed us for the moment. What it did, though, is it expanded my opportunity, because I wasn't so fixated on this is what I do, that I couldn't look at it and say, okay, well, now what do I do? How do I take these skills and these resources and the knowledge that I have and reapply it into something that will work? Because that one didn't work. If we don't have that mindset, though, and we haven't started from the beginning, and I would say this to your young dentist, my brother-in-law that's a dentist that I've sent over to you a couple of times, and look, you got to get hold of David. I've talked to him over and over about what's next after this. You're great at what you do. What are you going to do next? Because from the beginning, we have to be looking at the exit strategy. Otherwise, what we're doing is we're just sitting in the middle of the road, and we hit those corners and we just go around because the speed limit sign said 25 miles an hour on this corner. So that's what I do.
Mhm.
And the next thing we know, we're 60, 70 years old and we haven't done anything but the same thing over and over. And now we're told we have to retire. But what did I do? I didn't
Right.
do anything. So that mindset comes in the very, very beginning. Get your skills, hone your craft, be brilliant at what you do in anticipation of the next great opportunity, and be willing to grab it when it comes.
My biggest stretches, Brett, have come from what you and I just talked about, where we met, in a mastermind group where we're not
Yeah.
focused on a technical specialty of a craft or a trade. We're focused on this bigger picture. And in a really strong, well-facilitated group like that, where we have trust in the group that we're not being judged, but same token, people we're open to having people tell us what they really see. We need that outside perspective. We need some people
Absolutely do.
with love and caring, no agenda, to say, hey, Brett and Gina or David, why are you doing? I mean, just asking the question, why? Back to clarity. Why? Because sometimes we don't ask ourselves that question, do we? We don't really get it down. We need other people that we can trust to ask these questions, to give us the clarity, to make that change that we're unwilling, we're stuck, not willing to change because everybody else says, oh no, you wear this hat, this is how you do it. If you go left or right from that, there's something wrong with you. Back to the comparison with everybody.
And one of the worst things I see with that all the time, and I see it all the time. Well, what do you mean? Our family has always been a lawyer. You're going to be a lawyer. How can you want to be a school teacher? Why would you do that? I don't understand that. We've always been lawyers. And so there's this generational trap that happens. And it's a terrible way to say it, but I see it all the time with entrepreneurs, especially with the men. We have daddy issues. This is what my dad did. These are the things that my dad said to me. These are the things that dad taught me. Well, great. Maybe he was wrong. Or maybe it worked when he did it.
Right.
But 30, 40 years later, does it work today? And do we have to shift that? And we have to get over those. And that takes some very deep introspective work. And it's work that, is difficult, but it's vital. And if we don't, then we're stuck.
Yeah, which brings me to one more. Every time we talk, Brett, I keep coming up with more. It's like, okay, we could keep doing this for like several hours. I'm gonna finish with one other quick point because it's just on my mind right now. It's going back to, in my case, it's younger dentists, but we could say it's anybody younger that is in school, going to school, and we know today piling up, relatively immense amounts of debt. I don't care what school, dentistry, it's a lot, but it's a lot everywhere. It's all relative to when we were going.
It's all relative to what you're going to end up making on the other end. I mean,
that's the point. And so, what, and I think, why are so many young people in this case in dentistry going down this route where they're coming out with major six figures of debt? I mean, 250, 350, $500,000 is not unreasonable amount of debt coming out of school. Why are they doing that?
Well, it is unreasonable, but it's not.
It's not. It's kind of normalized, but no, it's very unreasonable.
I understand what you're saying. I understand.
Your point is, why are they doing this? Well, it's because either mom or your daddy or grandfather, or in school, I was anointed as being smart in the sciences or whatever. And so it was kind of like, this is your road. And they're not having the opportunity to look left or right to say, gee, have things changed? Maybe the professions was a great place to be 30 or 40 years ago, but it's different. Now, I'm not trying to tell people not to go there if that's your interest, because if anything you love and have a passion for, then you should go do it and you'll figure out a way.
Absolutely right.
So being robotic and following, society's definition again of, you're a lawyer, you're a doctor, you're CPA, these staid profession of respect is supposed to, be the end all. Well, maybe, decades ago, it was for the right people, but today, there's a lot of their choices, but people are, they're seeking safety, back to safety. Well, that's safe. Well, Yeah, but are you going to be fulfilled there? Well, you better test drive that before you decide. That would be my point. We need good doctors and professionals. We need them. Hopefully, the educational system will change with supply and demand. But anyway, I don't want to dig too deep on that. I just thought it was such a great point you made, earlier about the reasons why people, do what they do.
Well, I think that's a really great point too, that we have to look at the things that we have to look at the people that are giving us the knowledge and love them and be grateful for it, but then question it. We also have to look at the knowledge itself and where is it coming from, and is it outdated? Does it fit? Does it fit with what I want? I love that Mike Rowe is out there pushing the trades, because for so many years it has been, you got to get a college education, you got to get a college education. And so what do people do? They go in, and the colleges have figured out, hey, maybe we can get a ton of money here. And they've done it. And now nobody goes into the trades because for some reason we're supposed to get a college education. What is it that you want to do?
Right.
And what is it that serves you? And I've got a niece who's a welder, and she's loving life. She's up in Alaska, she's welding, she's brilliant at it, and she's just having the time of her life. Well, she got a certification training, and bam, she's off, and she's making great money. And so we have to rethink the beliefs that have been poured onto us and these truths that have been shoved into us. And if they don't work, don't do it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, Brett, it's been so great to have a conversation with you. I love it every time we get a chance. We're going to need to do more of these, but thanks for lending your perspective with a lot of experience as an entrepreneur yourself. You've lived these ups and downs yourself, and then you've helped so many people do it. It's just great to get someone who's authentic, that can actually really talk about it from real life and not just theory.
It's always a pleasure to talk with you and to be here, Dave. And what you do is just inspiring to me, and the way that you've found your group and you're helping them find freedom. I just love it, and I think it's something that every one of us need to be able to do, and just to have that free life. It's what we're here for. It's what we ought to be doing.
Yes, sir. So Brett Judd, you can find Brett just with a direct contact if you care to follow up and discuss with him maybe some thoughts that you have. Brett, BRETT, at theapexeffect.com.
That's it.
Thank you, Brett.
Thank you, David.
If you enjoyed watching or learning from this video, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel for more content. If you have a question about any of my content or this specific video, just please leave a comment down below. And as always, stay focused on your freedom. I'll see you next time.